I set this title when we founded Dynamo to Rory Kettle-Jones, who was the BBC tech correspondent, who we invited to open the inaugural Dynamo conference. And I thought it was worth revisiting. I think that at the time, people don't seem to talk about Silicon Valley quite so much anymore, but I added another title here, How to Make the Northeast Great Again, as a concept. and I have had great help from my assistant marketing manager, Louise White, who's helped with all of the things that you see here on the slides today are actually in my office. I have a collection and a sort of archive of things, starting with those lost industries of the time. And the first part of making the Northeast great again is about making sure that we understand how great it was. And this is a really interesting book that I was given from when I went to see the Mining Institute about the world's first knowledge economy, which was founded here. And using my slide pointer, I can give you copies of the slides because there's loads of detail in the illustrations. But and I'm not going to read every slide, but I'm really fascinated when it says, we ask routinely why Britain first, in terms of the first knowledge economy, and we must just as profitably ask why Northumberland first. The region was amongst the very first to apply power technology, not primarily to manufacturing, but to mining. And it was, although we're the home of 200 years of steam-powered transport, it was actually in pumping out water that the mines started using steam engines. And one of my first themes comes up in this about clusters, that the second paragraph that I've highlighted, in 1769 there were 100 steam engines pumping water out of the mines, because you need to pump the water out to go deeper and deeper. And there was nothing comparable. This is just along the Tyne doing mining here in our region. And almost 50 years later, the academic who sorted this book out, in the whole of France, they could only find 48 steam-like engines. So we were miles ahead in 1769, and that created a whole momentum around digging the coal out and finding things to do for it. And so the other thing that was interesting in my visit to the Mining Institute was they also, as a result of our expertise on coal, said that we founded global warming. It's all our fault. So there's a kind of first here that we had that coal revolution. And again, there's some nice books on that. A little bit of history that I carry with me is the Mailings pottery here. My grandfather bought in 1948, and they ran the pottery as a family business till 1963. He, unfortunately, having had a very successful Second World War, also was able to get hold of cigarettes, and he and two of his brothers who were in the business died of lung cancer. He died in 1952, so I've obviously never met him, but I thought it was interesting to take some of the Mailings pottery, and this is the 1929 commemorative plate from the Great Exhibition, which is what Exhibition Park is the remnant of, and the Wylam Brewery was one of the houses in which they did displays. So again, the learnings for me around the waves of technology. My family business, the first one, Hoult's Removals, founded in 1917, was founded as a result of army surplus trucks in the Second World War. They started with horse and cart. The horses got ill. They hated horses, and they were the first early adopters of motor transport in Newcastle that became a weekly truck. They were the first with a weekly truck from Newcastle to London, and that business became the top 5 furniture removal business they had a very good Second World War, and they started using empty space in the Mailings pottery, which was mothballed, and they moved on from that to take over the whole space. They actually sold the equipment in 1963, and it became a depot, and now in next generation we've turned it into other things. Hoult Yard is in Byker, and I took another picture. This is from Sir Lisa Consinen's book Byker, which is, although this looks absolutely ancient, and I thought that was interesting in this pendulum of history that I'm sort of rocking on, this is actually 1983. It's remarkable. I was particularly amazed at this car in 1983. And I remember, so I've been studying Mailings pottery. I did a prep school project, and I have actually found in my archive my O-level project on I didn't get a brilliant mark. There was a lot of visuals though, so visuals are a theme. And I remember reading about the deprivation of Byker and the low car count, even in 1983. You can see there are very few cars in that part of town. And just the point about being a saviour for me was that in my role of helping with tech and helping with regeneration, we often get, and you probably all know this, the southern saviour who comes up and thinks they can fix Newcastle. They've seen it all before, and that we're a bit behind, and they've got a load of global expertise, and they're going to fit it in here. And it was something that I had a sense of when I arrived in 2009-10, thinking, oh well, I'll be able to pull it all together. It's tough trying to fix all the things that we've gone through as a region, but yeah. I'm not going to fix it all tonight. Somebody said, oh, I got all the answers. And I know Sir John's got all the questions, because he told me he's been on ChatGPT and he wants to know about what we're going to do for the 7th industrial revolution. I thought we were only on 4. So again, just for a bit of a flow through, I thought this was a really fascinating piece. This is a plan for the city in 1945, post-war, and I really like this, which was a map inside it, which it looks kind of like a head to me, and it is a ring road around the outside. This you won't be able to see, but I commend you the slides, and if anyone wants to see the book, this is a massive bus station. So that's gone west. That is a town hall, which may or may not have become the civic centre, and everything else in that blue sky thinking they look like they could blitz it and rebuild anew. And this lot under T. Dan did have a go at it. And I was again really interested to check, because it had been part of my reflection, that his dates as council leader, and to think about the civic centre, which you may or may not have been in, but is a beautiful grade 2 star, one of the only civic buildings of that era to get 2-star. They had enough budget to colour code the marble on each floor so that you know which floor you're on, and they got them from a different continent. So that was the riches of T. Dan Smith. Downfall of a visionary. Small factoid, Victoria Wood's brother, the famous comedian, actually wrote this book. And I thought it was interesting in terms of that, is it a wave or is it a pendulum, that actually the Reith Lectures of 1964 were called the Age of Automation. So there's nothing new. Sir John's got the questions, but yeah, we're going to. And so, moving into the 70s and 80s, more the fantastic. I don't know whether you know this iconic Byker photograph, girl on a space hopper, and Sir Lisa came in, and this is my childhood as we walked around Byker and around Hoult Yard, and it was at that time that the phrase managed decline was used. Thankfully, we don't talk about managed decline anymore, but there was this, what's going to happen post-industrial revolution. And this, they knocked down the terraces in the previous one, and there were horses grazing before they built the biker wall. It's fascinating. There's still horses come down Walker Road with those guys on jockey seats, like they are going to go in some American horse race. I don't know where they come from, but it's fascinating. So this is 1981. Chris Tye, who was until recently the FT correspondent for the Northeast, and this is the Meadowell riots, and again, fascinating, the characters who are still here. David Schlesinger, who was chairman of the development committee, and this piece, I think they decided they were going to change the advert, and times are different now, but there was a budget, it says here, of £300,000 a year for a J. Walter Thompson campaign. Now, I would love to have that kind of budget today for our brand image. But yes, it was Steve Cram and Sting who were the iconic trailblazers. And next week I've been kindly invited to the Baltic Art Gallery, where Sting is going to still be there doing his gig. So yeah, I just put that one up here for the Scottish and Newcastle cabinet. If you all remember that, Tony Blair had so many people from Scotland and Newcastle in his cabinet. It was nicknamed. And also, again, for Newcastle United in the 90s, thank you, Sir John, with that on the cover, Glory Days were there. The nice thing, we seem to be coming back. We're coming back to being on top. And in 2010, Chris Tye kindly wrote a piece about me coming back to be the fourth generation. Succession is the headline. I hope you've all watched the series. It was a little bit like that. Here's like, my dad said, go make mistakes on someone else's business. And when I got back, I was like, Dad, Kevin Keegan and Alex Ferguson, as of the 90s, can't run the same football team. So he did retire the day I arrived. But I just thought, in closing the loop, this is 2025. David Ross, another northern entrepreneur, his family business, Ross's Foods from Hull. He went on to build Carphone Warehouse. He was the finance director. And this is Easter this year, where he's saying, let's think bigger. Let's push on. Our competition isn't each other. It's America. It's the global village. And I think that is really important for our region, that it is often an echo chamber, and a lot of the characters re-emerge, not just promoting it, but also trying to run the region. And it's really important that we're not an island and that we get perspectives from elsewhere.